This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, very good morning, good evening, all. I hope all of you guys are doing good. Happy Sunday. Can you please confirm if you're able to hear me and able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
Yes,
Great. Thanks for the confirmation. So first of all, thanks and appreciate for joining out the session on the Sunday early morning or evening. Right, I really appreciate your time. So let's go ahead and get started without any further delay. So let me take this opportunity to introduce myself, right? My name is Kranti. I'm one of the project manager working in an MNC in Hyderabad. So I do carry 14 plus years of experience in the IT industry, out of which 6.5 years is completely into cloud computing technologies, that to multi-cloud, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba Cloud, along with that DevOps combination, right? So I'm one of the lead corporate trainer, right? So I might have trained so far 33,000 plus people, and the count is still going on. So though my profession as an IT employee, my passion towards training never stopped me to train the people, share my knowledge. So I've been into training industry since 7 years now, right? So being a project manager, I might have taken multiple interviews, some thousands of interviews on multiple technologies. So I'm a certified panelist as well. It may be technical panel, managerial panel, or HR panel. Why? Because I used to take all the interviews, right, wherever I join, right? So the company wanted to utilize my services, so I go an extra mile and always take up interviews and help other accounts or fulfill the requirements, right? So you guys might have a question as to, hey Kranti, we have a lot of institutes in the market. We have a lot of people who started teaching online due to this pandemic using Zoom, GoToMeeting, Cisco WebEx, Microsoft Teams, right? So why, Kranti, I have to go ahead and opt only for career IT trainings for Azure DevOps training or any other trainings, right? Why? Because we have a unique pattern of training people, right? So what is that uniqueness I'm going to discuss now. But before that, let's talk about certain facts for the day. So we might have close to how many 16 people joined this session now, correct? Out of which I'm pretty much sure that we have freshers, we have people from non-technical background, we have people from the IT background who might be already working professionals in IT company, correct? So all of your intent is the same, to join this session. So what is the intent? You might have heard from your friend circle, professional network, that okay, this is the right time to go ahead and spend time to learn a new technology which is currently booming the market, and probably you might have to go and enroll for the course, and you might have to learn the course in the course duration. Then you have to crack an interview and to get a job as an Azure DevOps engineer in any of the companies that we have available in the market. Correct. So your intent is simple. You wanted to learn the course Azure DevOps, wanted to crack an interview, and to get a job. So I would be here from Career IT to make sure that we will be basically assuring you that you get to that position. So I am here from the trainer perspective to make sure that I'll be helping you at each and every situation, to make sure that what kind of questions that would be asked from the theory, from the practicals or real time, to make sure that once you complete this course, that will actually help you to crack an interview as well, right? So before that, let's talk about the facts. So we have a fresher who might have passed out in 2016, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We are in 2022. So somehow they might not have got the job in the market due to multiple reasons, right? And we have the second category, people who were settled down in non-technical fields, like let's say pharma or mechanical, civil, HR, sales, marketing, or any logistics, and wanted to make sure that they wanted to get into IT companies, right? Why? Because they might not have satisfied with the salary, the company or the project manager or the client or the people that they are around, right? And the last category of people is IT employees. So why they wanted to change a job? Probably again, they might not be satisfied. They might have pissed off with their job, salary, project manager, right? So everybody might have that frustration that okay, it's a time to make sure that I upgrade myself with the latest technologies to get a faster growth, to get a good salary, right? To get a good settlement in the life, right? Within very less span of time. That is all the reasons why you guys might have here, right? So I can say you guys are in right place. Why? Because we have a unique training pattern. So what is that pattern? Let me talk about with an example. So once we are done with the demo session, yes, we are gonna start the trainings from Tuesday morning IST. Yes, so we'll be walking through with the course content that we have, and we will be starting with the very scratch. Why? Because I'm not gonna talk about Azure Devops right away from the day one. Why? Because those are next level concepts, and to understand them, you need to understand the basics first. Why? Because we might have a lot of freshers, a lot of people from non-technical or people from IT from a different background altogether. So all the terminologies from cloud computing, Azure, Microsoft DevOps, everything is pretty much new. So we have a habit of teaching everything from the scratch, from a layman language. So the biggest capability that I have is to train a layman who doesn't even know anything about IT company, right? So that's where there is no prerequisite to take up this course. Whatever the content that we have will be teaching from the scratch. So you should not have to worry about the prerequisites that I need Linux knowledge or Linux commands knowledge or scripting knowledge. No, nothing is actually needed. Why? Because I'm here to teach everything from the scratch. So on the day one, we'll be picking up a topic from the theory. So once the topic from the theory is done, I'll be talking from a daily life example. Why? Because if I don't pitch in from a daily life example, you won't be able to understand the official terminologies. Why? Because those are pretty much new. So I always have a habit of connecting with a daily life example so that you can correlate. Okay, this is how things happen. This is how the definition works. This is how the terminology is. Then I'll be pitching in or coming up with a client or customer scenario. We learn the topic. Okay, we are getting a requirement from the customer for our project. Okay, how we understand the requirement, how we analyze, how you recommend, how you suggest certain best practices to the customer. And once we agree, we'll be implementing that solution in the real time. So why we implement the solution in real time? Why? Because we had to add the value to the customer. So the ultimate goal is to add value to the customer so that if they were happy, they will be giving us additional business. So from that particular pattern, we'll be starting our course. Once a real-time example is done, we'll be covering interview questions as well. The theory interview questions and the interview questions from the real time. Why? Because your ultimate goal is to crack an interview. So if the pattern of the course that we go is completely interview based and real time, right? So once the questions are covered, interview questions, will be providing the tips and tricks as well as to how you can go ahead and crack an interview, the best practices, how you need to be very smart enough, right? A lot of things that we'll be talking from the interview tips and tricks. And we'll be conducting three mock interviews, guys. So one is at the second week of the course, one is at the middle of the course, and the last one is before we complete the course. Why mock interviews? Right. Why? Because I'm not here being a trainer that I'll just log in for the day and I'll just teach the topic and I say goodbye for the day, guys. No. My job here at Career IT is to make sure that I'm analyzing each and every individual who is gonna enroll for this course. Why? Because there is a saying called zero to hero, right? So nobody can become a hero overnight. But since you guys are starting from the scratch, from a zero knowledge in Azure DevOps, so my job from Career IT is to make sure that I'll be bringing or taking you guys to an intermediate level after we complete the course. So when you start at zero, you might wonder as to whether I'll be able to learn this course or not, whether I'll be able to upskill, scale up myself or not. But I'll be giving that assurance that at the end of this course, you yourself will come to me and say that Kranti, I know something now. I can crack an interview. The training will really help me. So that is what the mindset that I'm gonna basically change it up. That's where we conduct mock interviews, and I'll be analyzing each and everybody, and I'll be asking questions by taking out names to see how you guys are progressing on daily basis. A constructive feedback would be shared to each and every individual from communication, pronunciation, grammatical mistakes, or how you are answering, the way that you are answering with articulation. A lot of things that will be told in the mock interviews. So once mock interviews is done, we'll be helping you from the resume preparation. So at the end of this course, yes, resume plays a pivotal role to make sure that what are the skills that you are putting, what is the experience that you are coming from, how you can prepare a resume that will add a value, right? That is how you get a calls from the companies to hire you. Then we'll be helping you from the career guidance. Why? Because you might be taking a decision in your life that to learn cloud computing, that to Microsoft Azure DevOps, which is currently doing very good in terms of market. So since you guys have taken a decision, so how your career is going to be in the next 10 to 15 years, we'll be talking about it. Once that is done, we'll talk about corporate equities on daily basis. So you can ask me a question as to Kranti, are we learning Azure DevOps or corporate equities here? But my way of teaching is I don't just teach the technology, it's all about the things surrounding the technology as well. Why? Because a fresher or a non-technical individual might not be knowing about an IT company or how things happens in IT company. So I'll be talking about how we get projects, right? What is the billing structure, right? And who is a manager, who is a client, who are stakeholders, how the team members would be, right? We'll talk about different roles, responsibilities in a team, and we'll talk about how we can build a rapport with your manager, client, how we can come up with innovative ideas, how we can be a differentiator, how we can say no to something which you doesn't know actually at the ground level. Lot of things that we'll be teaching from a corporate equities perspective. So why we have added this is this will actually make sure that your job is sustainable once you join a company, right? So you should not have to bother once you join a company that, hey, I joined a new company, I don't know what exactly it is, but I'll be covering everything. So you should not feel uncomfortable after you join a company, right? So apart from that, if you look at my technologies, I already told you I'm a multi-cloud certified into Microsoft Azure, AWS, GCP, Alibaba Cloud, and DevOps. I'm very good at SQL Server, Power BI, and PowerShell scripting. And being a project manager, I'm certified in ITIL, Service Operation, Service Transition, and the ITIL V3. Then I'm very big time into people management, attrition, stakeholder, client, customer management. And I'm very good at offboarding the projects that are in the verge of completion. And I'm very expert in onboarding brand new projects from the scratch. And those are settling down and delivering the projects without any impact at the ground level. So I've been into abroad multiple times and I have offshored the new projects into India and I have settled here and the projects were successfully being delivered. So you can see the certifications that I've done on the screen. So I'm a DevOps expert and I've done Azure Developer, Azure Administrator, and a lot of other certifications. And on top of that, I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. So I've been certified from Microsoft that I'm an official trainer. So the kind of training, the kind of real-time scenarios, the kind of interview questions, that the kind of documentation that I give it to you guys is completely different when you compare with anybody else. So this is all about myself. So why this slide is why? Because I believe in choosing a right trainer for your career path is very much important, right? So I believe I have all the eligibility to go ahead and train you guys on Azure DevOps. So if you guys have any questions, let's wait towards the end of the session. I'll be able to spend at least 15 minutes of time to answer your questions. But let's quickly get on to the demo session for the day. So let me move on. So today, the demo session is going to be on the Azure DevOps, but I directly don't talk about Azure DevOps. I'll talk about a software development lifecycle, right? So how a software is used to be developed in the traditional days, in the olden days. So we will have to know the evolution, or we'll have to know about the history of how the software is to develop in the traditional days, and why we are not using that now, and why Azure DevOps or DevOps concepts have been come into picture, right? So I always have a habit of talking from a daily life example so that it will be very useful for you and you will be easily able to correlate, right? So today we will talk about software development lifecycle. Before that, let's talk from the daily life examples case. Before that, let's talk from a daily life examples. So any volunteer who wanted to have a conversation with me, a daily conversation, yes, nothing rocket science as such. We are going to talk about a conversation which will help us to correlate what is software development lifecycle. Any volunteer who wanted to have a talk with me.
Yep, no problem.
Hey Vishnu, thanks for volunteering, man. Really appreciate. Yeah,
No problem, man. No problem, Kranti. All good.
yeah, great. So Vishnu, sorry to get into personals, but are you married? Why? Because we are going to have some fun as well while we are having a
Yes.
demo session. Great,
Yes, I do.
great. So we'll definitely gonna have some fun for the day. So
Yep.
Vishnu, did you ever prepared a plain rice for your lunch or dinner?
Plan for lunch or dinner?
Plain rice, white rice for your lunch or
Uh,
dinner. Did you ever
yes,
prepared?
for lunch. Yes, for lunch.
Great. May I know the process that involves to prepare a plain rice?
Uh, the very first thing I do is I take 1 cup of rice
Hmm.
and then I wash it thoroughly. I put
Hmm.
2 glasses of water and then I
Hmm.
put it on the stove.
Great. So you are talking about the manual method, stove, gas stove. What is the other
I
method
mean,
that we have?
the other method is also the same. I instead of me putting it on the stove, I put it in the cooker, rice cooker, and then just close the lid and turn it on, and then
Yes,
put it in the
electric
steam.
rice cooker.
Yes,
So which one you
yes.
choose between them? Both of them, which one you go with?
In today's day-to-day life, I go with the rice cooker, but if I'm at home, if I have time, I go with
Mhm.
the gas cooking on the gas stove.
Okay, I believe everybody agrees that will need automated ways now, correct? We'll need
Yes,
things to be cooked up within less time, and there should not be any manual intervention that is needed, correct?
yep,
Right? So the
correct.
electric rice cooker, it's nothing but your DevOps approach. The gas
Okay.
stove is like a traditional way of software development, right? So let's dig into it. So if I have to talk about, let's say if I have to cook rice for two individuals, I'll take 2 cups of raw rice. I'll wash it at least 2 times. Why? Because if you wash it 3 to 4 times, obviously the vitamins will be going away. Correct? So I'll wash 2 times. So if I have time, I'll add 4.5 cups of water and I'll wait for 10 minutes to soak the rice. Then what I'll do after 10 minutes, I'll be putting the bowl on the gas stove. Then I'll lighten up the gas stove. And for 5 minutes, I'll be putting the gas stove in high flame. Right? I'll put the lid or the plate. And after 5 minutes, I have to bring it down to the medium flame. And I have to maintain it for 10 more minutes. Then I'll sim down to 5 minutes. And I'll have to wait and monitor closely to make sure that the rice is absolutely cooked perfectly. When I'll be able to come to know when the water is completely evaporated from the vessel, correct?
Yes,
Agree? So this is
yes,
how ultimately what we are getting. The product is nothing but the plain rice, which is cooked absolutely perfect. This is one method. The other method is the same, but this time it's in the electric rice cooker. So I'll take 2 cups of raw rice. I'll wash it carefully. If I have time, I'll add 4 cups of water now. I don't add 4.5 cups. So why I added additional half cup of water? Why? Because in gas stove the water would be evaporated, so I have to add additional water. But in electric rice cooker, I'll add only 4 cups of water. So if I have time, I'll soak, and after 10 minutes I'll be putting the bowl in the electric rice cooker. I'll close the lid, I'll switch on the button, and the rice would be cooked absolutely perfect after 15 to 20 minutes, and there is no manual intervention that is needed to see how the rice is cooked. Agree?
yes, I agree.
But here also the output is the same. Well cooked, well cooked rice. The ultimate product is the rice, so that we can have it. Then with the rice, what we can do: fried rice, lemon rice, tamarind rice, a lot of things, correct? So
Yep.
what I wanted to convey here is there is two ways where we can go ahead and cook rice, and there is a step-by-step process that is involved. There is a step-by-step process is involved. So now we are using gas stove, but in olden days, our grandparents used to cook it in wood fire, correct?
Mm.
Are we using wood fire still? Yes, but for big functions. We cannot
Yes.
use rice cookers or gas stoves for very big functions. Why? Because the gas flame is not equally spreading towards the entire vessel, correct? To have the rice cooked absolutely perfect. That's where we are still using wood for functions. That's a different process, let it be. So now what I wanted to get into is we have two ways to prepare the plain rice. In the same way, don't you think that to develop a software, there is a process involved? I agree, there
Should
is a
be,
process,
yes.
correct? It should be. So let's talk about that process now, correct? So I'll be taking out my slides. We'll be having an interactive session. So let me share the screen again. I believe the screen is visible.
Yep.
Let's say I wanted to install Google Chrome browser in a brand new laptop of mine where I have Windows 10 operating system. So if it is a brand new laptop, if it is Windows 10 operating system, may I know what is the browser, the default browser that we'll be getting?
Getting Chrome. Oh, if it's a
No,
Microsoft, then you get Bing. Bing.
Edge browser. Yeah, Edge browser you'll be getting it, correct?
Yeah, yes, yes.
But we were habituated to Chrome, agree? We're habituated to Chrome. So I wanted to install Chrome browser. How? So I'll be searching in Google, install Google Chrome browser. So I'll be opening up this official link. So this is official Google website, correct? Google.com. This is a production website. So what I'll do, you have to install Google Chrome. I'll be clicking on this button. So when I click on this button, what happens? The Chrome setup.exe file has been downloaded. What is this exe file? This is an executable file, correct? So I downloaded this. Now I need the browser. What I need to do, I need to open this up and I need to install it. Then only my Google Chrome browser would be installed in my laptop, correct? But I have Google Chrome already here. But if I have to install, this is a process. So is this .exe file or this Google Chrome setup is a paid version or Google is actually giving it a free of cost to everybody in the world? Are we paying anything? No, correct. Which means Google Chrome browser is a open source software which can be used by everybody. But did we ever bothered about how come this .exe file has been come here in the google.com website? Did we ever bothered?
No.
No, we did not bother at all. But today we are gonna learn how come the .exe file has been placed in the website where we from the public can access it in over internet and can download and install Google Chrome browser. We'll try to understand. Don't you think this is also a product output like rice? So don't you think for coming up with this .exe file, don't you think the developers from Google have followed a process? So we will talk about that process today. Correct? Let's say if I go to my desktop, so if you look into a folder, let's say I'm creating a folder here, and let's assume I'm adding all my educational documents here. Let's say these are all notepads. Let's assume PDF files of my educational documents. Let's say my 10th class, intermediate, bachelor's, master, whatever it is. Let's say my friend is asking me to send these documents over an email. How I can send it to him? I have to open Gmail. I have to attach each and every document to the email and I have to send it, correct? But don't you think attaching each and every file will take some time? Then what I'll do, I'll right click on this and I'll go to send to compressor zip folder. So this is a folder. Now don't you think attaching the zip file will be easy over an email to send it instead of sending attaching each and every file? So what is this extension of this file or folder? If you go to properties, this word zip folder, correct? So this zip is nothing but your .exe file. So developers in Google have used a programming language. What is a programming language? It may be Java, .NET technologies, let's say .NET, C Sharp, ASP.NET, or let's say Python, Node.js, whatever the programming language the Google developers might have used to develop Google Chrome browser. So they developed all of these files and they compiled, they have compiled all of these files and made a .exe file like .zip folder, and they have made this file available to us over the internet. So we are downloading, we are installing, and the Google Chrome browser is up and running. So to prepare these files, they might have followed a process, a step-by-step process they might have followed. So we'll talk about that process to develop a software today. So let me go back to the slides that I have. Let me go back to the slides that I have. Today, we'll understand what is software development lifecycle. In the same way how the rice preparation process is, you have to assume even software development, if you have to develop and deliver it to the customer or to the public, we have to follow a process. So who will follow this software development process? We also call it as SDLC. So this process is being followed by the software development industries or IT companies. So why they follow? They follow to get the requirement from the customer. So once they get the requirements from the customer, they plan it and they design the software, they develop the software and they test the software. Ultimately, they will deliver the software to the customer with highest quality and without compromising on the security and within the dedicated or stipulated timeline, right? Within the budget, they will have to deliver the software to the customer. So while they are designing, developing, testing, and delivering the software, they have to follow some step-by-step procedures. So like rice preparation, we have manual method, we have electric rice cooker. In the same way, for developing the software, you have certain models or processes or methodologies. So what are those? Waterfall model. One of the model is waterfall model, and the second model is agile model, and you have V model, spiral model. A lot of models that are available in the market. So it's up to you which one you wanted to go ahead and pick it up and follow the step-by-step process to deliver the software to the customer. So today we are going to focus on waterfall model and agile model, right? So waterfall model, the name itself says waterfall. So if I take a glass of water and if I pour it down to the ground, will I be able to bring the water back? I'm not a magician, I'm not a god. Will I be?
No.
No, correct. Let's say a river flows in a direction, correct? Let's say the water in the river is flowing in a direction. Will I be able to bring the water back? I'm not a god, I'm not a magician again. And also I'm not a KCR. I did not build Kaleshwaram project to lift the water, right? We cannot, right? Once the water is flowing in a direction, I cannot bring that water back. Unless I use some Bahubali motors like KCR, I cannot bring that water back. Correct? So waterfall model is having a lot of disadvantages. Waterfall model has been used 2 decades back. It is not being used now. Yes, 20 years back, waterfall model has been used to develop the software. So are we using wood fire to cook rice for only limited people now? We are not using it, correct? Why? Because wood fire is having a lot of disadvantages. It will generate smoke. Your kitchen might get impacted with all the smoke in black color. A lot of things happens, correct? And you might get some lung diseases as well. A lot of things. So even waterfall model is having a lot of disadvantages. So we'll now focus on what is waterfall model, why it is not being used now, and why agile in the combination of Azure Devops has been come into picture now, and why there is a lot of boom that is in the market, why we have a lot of jobs today for Azure Devops. We'll talk about that, right? So let's go with waterfall model. So I have a real-time example. I mean, we'll have to assume things while we are learning anything in cloud case. So today, what we'll understand, Likewise, we have steps to prepare rice, correct? In the same way, we have certain steps to prepare software as well. So, what are the stages that we have? All of these stages are involved in software development lifecycle. So, we are talking about waterfall model. Let's assume it's a wood fire method or a manual method to prepare rice in gas stove, right? So, we have step by steps, correct, to prepare rice. So, in the same way, let's assume for software development also we have different stages. One is planning, requirement analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. We have altogether 6 to 7 stages that we would be having in a software development lifecycle. So now let's go with an assumption example. Let's assume our customer is Flipkart. Okay, what is Flipkart?
It's an on e-commerce website,
Yes,
e-commerce
it's an
company.
e-commerce website where everything is available. Even I can buy groceries, vegetables, appliances, kids, men, women, every item I can buy it. Correct? Mobiles, laptops, everything is available. It's a one-stop solution to buy anything online. So may I know in which year Flipkart has been established or released into the Indian market? In which year? Any guess?
2007.
Yes, in 2007, 8, but it has come into popularity from 2010. Correct? So let's
Yes.
assume we are in 2008 or we are in 2010. Why? Because while we are learning cloud, we have to go with certain examples, assumptions to learn. So let's assume we are in 2008, where Flipkart.com never existing in India. Even we are coming up with internet, correct? So earlier we used to have landlines, then pagers to send messages, then feature phones with keypad and a small screen. Then we have got keypad and a small screen with a 2G network, then 3G, very good smartphones, 4G, and we are in 5G network already. And we are using artificial intelligence mobile phones as well, correct? So let's assume we are in 2008, right? And obviously Flipkart might have started by a human being, correct? Obviously, we human beings might be having ideas. So, in order to turn that idea into reality, to develop a software, what we needed? We needed money, we need skill, correct? So, if you don't have money, what you do? You go to an investor, you will share the idea. If investor likes the idea, they will invest in your idea, correct? So, let's assume we are in 2008. We are in 2008 where Flipkart.com website is not existence. Flipkart.com website is not in existence. Okay. Now, Flipkart has been given the business to a software development company called TCS. Guys, why I'm using Flipkart and TCS is these are well known in our life, correct? So let's assume this is not in reality, but let's get into assumption that we are in 2008. Flipkart has given business to TCS. TCS is what? It's a software development company. And what Flipkart is becoming now, it's a customer or client for TCS. In 2008, they have given business to this company to develop this website, flipkart.com website, right? Well and good. TCS got the business and they have to develop the software, correct? How they develop? They have to use the SDLC life cycle. So, what is the very first thing that they will do? They'll have to plan the things. So, TCS will go back to Flipkart and they initiate the planning stage. So, in planning stage, they'll talk about all of these stuff, head count. So, since the project has been uh, backed by TCS. So TCS has to ask how many head count, how many developers, how many testers, how many scrum masters, project managers, leads needed to deliver this project or to develop the project. Let's assume Flipkart has approved 23 members. So TCS has to hire 23 plus additional people as well, at least 2 or 3 people additional. Why? Why? Because on a given day, all the 23 people, do you think they will be going to office and working? All the 23 might not be going. Why? Because we are humans, we have planned leaves, we have emergency situations, we have some unplanned leaves, health issues, right? So 23 people might not go to office on daily basis. That's where we need to have certain additional people to work on behalf of the people who were on leave. Then TCS has to talk about billing. Okay, for 23 people, how much you pay on monthly basis or on daily basis per hour, how much Flipkart is paying to all the 23 people. Then we'll have to talk about the licenses or infra. Obviously, for a developer, they need a laptop or desktop. They need Windows 10 or Windows 11 operating system. They need MS Office. They need Visual Studio, the integrated development environment, software development tool. They need SQL Server database. They need a lot of compiler tools, infrastructure, lot of things that the developers needed. So who will have to bear the amount for licenses or infra? It's Flipkart. Then we have to talk about transport. So the employees have to go from home to office, then from office to home. So transport, food, logistics, infrastructure, payment gateway, everything will be discussed in the planning stage. So once the planning is done, then we have a team called requirement gatherings from TCS. Now they will gather the requirement from Flipkart as to how the website should be. So this is how the banner should come up. This is how the logo should come up. This is how the catalogs should come up. And this is how the ongoing daily offer should come up, and some offers. And if you come at the end of the page, Flipkart address, Flipkart payment gateways, then the return policies about Flipkart career site, the customer care related Facebook, and the internet hand social networking handles. So everything should be gathered from the requirement analysis phase by TCS from Flipkart. Once this is done, the design team will be coming into picture. Design team from TCS. So they will start designing the website. So how the color codings should look like, how the alignment should happen of the catalogs, right? How the font size, font color should be. Everything would be decided by design team. Correct, guys? When you compare with Amazon and when you compare Flipkart, which website, which e-commerce website do you like it from the look and feel? Is it
Amazon.
Flipkart or Amazon?
Flipkart.
Amazon. That looks much better for me.
Yes, Flipkart looks much better from look and feel, but Amazon gives more offers, correct?
Correct.
You get more discount from Amazon, right? So it's all about the design. Whoever is not speaking, I request them to go on mute, please. Yeah. So it's all about designing, right? So how you're impressing the customer by look and feel itself, correct? So design team will take care of that. Then once the design is done, the development team will be pitching in and they will be starting the code. It may be to develop the Flipkart website, probably Java, .NET related technologies, Python or Node.js, whatever the programming language that they go with. Once the development is done, the testing team will pitch in and they start testing the product to see whether they are absolutely working perfectly or not. Then if testing team has raised any bugs that okay, this product is not working as per the expected behavior of the customer, testing team will raise the bug to the development. Again, the development team will rework on the code, they will fix the bug and they will send the code to testing team. Testing team will rework on the code and they will certify that the code is absolutely perfect as per the requirements. Then the deployment team will come in and they deploy the code into the production environment so that the Flipkart website would be up and running for us. So we from customers can open a browser if you have internet, type in flipkart.com, sign in or sign up and browse to the products, add to the cart and proceed toward the payment gateway, order the product would be delivered in the stipulated delivery time. Agree? So this is a concept. Now, then the maintenance team. So once you deploy the product into the production environment, the maintenance and monitoring team will be coming in and they will look for the infrastructure availability. They will see the traffic. They will take the feedback from the customer. A lot of things they will also do it. But we never bothered about maintenance at this moment. Why? Because this is post production. Okay. This is post production. So now, what is the timeline that customer has given to TCS to develop the product? 60 days, 2 months. And how much headcount? 23 headcount has been given. Now, what is happening? 5 days is being taken by planning team, and 5 days is being taken by requirement gathering team. 10 days is being taken by design team. 30 days, 1 month is completely being taken by development team. Why? Because code development, developing the code will take a lot of time. Then testing team is taking 5 days, and deployment team is taking 5 days. So all the 60 days have been spread across like this. And we have 23 people for the project. So 3 people for planning team and 3 people for requirements, 5 people for design, 6 people for your development, 3 people for testing, 2 people for deployment, and one for maintenance and monitoring. This is how the days and the people will be split across each and every team in the waterfall model cycle, right? Now, so let's assume today we got the project. So today is what? Today is 28th of November. So when did we complete the project? January 20th we have to complete it, correct? So delivery, project delivery is what? Project delivery is 20th
Two
January
months.
2023. Right? Now TCS, let's assume TCS has signed up a new project with a customer called Apple, and they got into an agreement that from 22nd of January 2023, TCS has got into agreement and said Apple that from 22nd January next year we'll be starting your project. So for this project, who will be the developers testers? Yes, for this project, who will be the developers or team? Who would be the team for this project?
Probably the same team.
Yes, that
Same.
same team. You're right. You're right. The same team. That is how development projects would be, right? Once a project is completed, if they don't have any project for these members, they'll go on bench, correct? They'll be sitting on bench and they have to look for the projects. But the good thing is, once this project with Flipkart is done, TCS has already got in an agreement with another customer, and they say that for the same set of people, they will be allocating for this project as well, right? Now let's talk about the disadvantages, right? I believe we understood about the project, how the software will be developed and delivered it to the customer. Now let's talk about the disadvantages in the waterfall model. So the very first disadvantage is dependency. So let's assume I'm a developer. What is my job in a project? To develop the code, correct? Do you think being a developer, I'll have to configure or install the software that are required for me to develop? Do you
No.
think my laptop would be setting and giving by myself to me? Or who will help in company? Let's say I'm working in TCS, I'm a developer. Who will help me by providing the softwares, hardware that is required for the project to be delivered?
That technical support will be providing all that.
Net-
Yes,
Networking
the
team are internal.
Administration.
yes,
Administration team.
yes. The internal IT support team of TCS should help me to provide the hardware software that is required. Let's say I need a SQL Server database. Why? Because my customer is asking to host a SQL Server database. Do you think being a developer, I would be able to install that? What I'll do, I'll raise a ticket with my IT team in TCS, right? So they have to provide me. Do you think they will be providing right away after 30 minutes for 1 hour? No, they will take 1 or 2 days. Let's assume if they don't have license with them, if they don't have SQL Server license with them, they will have to procure it from the vendor. Let's say they have to purchase a license from Microsoft and they have to give it. Do you think that will be happening overnight? They might take 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Meanwhile, do you think my customer would be okay and they would be coming down? No. Customer is
No.
there to order us. They don't even request, they order the things and we have to get it done overnight. So, in the traditional way of software development, there is always a huge delay between the development team and IT operations team. So, if development team needs some server hardware, they always have to go and sync up with the internal IT team. So, they at times they won't be able to understand the requirement. Why? Because they might not have skilled resources, or they might have on leave, or one of the IT support engineer is there, but the engineer is pretty much new in the team, so they might not be able to know what exactly we are asking from the development perspective. So it is always a huge delay, and that will impact the project delivery. So if there is a delay in delivering the software or hardware, obviously the 60 days might become 70 days, correct? But will you be able to avoid that delay? Why? Because you have already committed other customer already here.
No.
So this should not happen. So, but waterfall model is having that one of the disadvantage. What is the other disadvantage? There is always a dependency between each and every team. So we got the project. The planning team is working with Flipkart from TCS to gather what are required as part of planning, correct? So as part of planning, we have three members. So while these three members are working with Flipkart, other teams have to sit idle. They don't have any work. Requirements team has to sit idle. Design, development, testing, every team has to sit idle. Once the planning is done, then only the requirement gathering team would be pitching in. And they would be working closely with Flipkart to get the requirements. Meanwhile, design has to sit idle, development, testing, every other team has to sit idle. That's where the project delivery takes 60 days here. And the biggest disadvantage is now we got the project, we we have completed every stage and it's time to deploy. So Flipkart site has been developed and the deployment team has to deploy into production environment. How many days we have left? 5 days. Now customer is coming. Now customer is coming on 15th of January. Customer is coming to us on 15th of January and saying, "Hey guys, I really appreciate your time in developing the software and you're gonna deliver it to me now. I have a small change now. Can you please implement that?" What is that small change?
And
The small change is, so initially the catalog has to be developed like this case. Customer says in the planning section or in requirement gathering, customer said, guys, I need a drop down at fashion. I need a drop down at electronics, home, and beauty and toys. So what happens when you click on the drop down in fashion? You get men, women, kids, correct? Electronics, laptops, cameras, computer accessories, power banks, correct? Now customer is saying at this stage when we have only 5 days, is saying, guys, I need a drop down at top offers. So if I click on this top offers, I should get men 50% discount, women 20% discount, kids 30%, laptops 40% discount. Let's say flight tickets 15% discount. So he's asking the drop down to be implemented at this stage now when we have 5 days. Do you think is it possible now?
No.
No, it is not possible. We cannot accommodate customer requests now. So Vishnu, let's go back to your rice preparation. So you wash the rice, you soaked it, you put it in the electric rice cooker, and it's been 15 minutes, the rice is cooking, and if you leave for 5 more minutes, the rice would be completely cooked. Now at 15th minute, while you are preparing plain rice, your wife has come and is saying, "Hey Vishnu, why you are preparing plain rice? I expected you to prepare vegetable pulao." Is it possible, Vishnu?
no.
No, it is not possible. Let's say if it is, let's say chicken biryani. Do you think is it possible? It's
No.
already,
Not
let's say, lunch time. Let's say it's already 1:15 p.m. probably. Let's assume. At this point of time, it is not possible. Probably, if you have to convince your wife, you can prepare it. But what is needed? Basmati rice is needed. Let's say
yes.
vegetables are needed. Oil or ghee is needed. Spices is needed. Lot of things are needed, correct? And if it is non-veg biryani, you need to go with marination process, and it might take a lot of time,
Correct.
right? But do we have time here? 5 days. If you accept the requirement, it will take 1 more week. But you've already committed to Apple. Do
Yes.
you think the old customer is important to you or the new customer?
Both are important, to
Both
be
are
honest.
important, but initially we got into an agreement
I
and we have
can,
five
yes.
days left, correct? So we cannot accommodate a user request or customer request at this point of time. So this is the biggest disadvantage in the waterfall model. But nowadays, We are in 2022. Do you think if you don't agree, don't accept the customer requirement now, do you think the customer will still keep the project with our company?
No.
No, they have multiple other companies who are ready to accept new requirements. So that's where in olden days, in waterfall model, we should not have to accept the requirements at any point of time, any stage case. So this is the very biggest disadvantage. If you accept it, again planning stage has to happen, requirement stage has to happen, design has to happen, the code has to be developed by the development team, testing team has to test it. So a lot of time that will getting into, and this 60 days might become 70 days as well. So it will directly impact this project timeline. This customer won't be agreeing, right? Why? Because we have already signed up an agreement that will be starting the project from 22nd. So in waterfall model, we cannot accommodate new requests from the customer. So now I'll have a video to play so that you will be able to understand the testing phase. Let me play a video. So let me know what is happening in this video. May I know guess what has happened in this video?
There is a issue with the servers.
No, it's not the server. So let me open Flipkart. Let's say I want to buy a table for my kid, right? Let's say helmets I want to buy. I'm in the home page, correct? Flipkart.com only. I'm clicking on helmets. So you see helmets are getting displayed. But whenever I click on tables, the tables are not getting displayed and I'm getting an error called something went wrong, which means there is a bug. So whose job was that to identify the bug?
Tester's
Testers.
job.
Tester job, and they have to report it to the development team here. So they have to fix the code and they have to again send it to the testing team. They will certify that okay, now the bug is fixed. So this is the role of a testing engineer here. I believe now we were very clear as to what are the steps that we have to follow to deliver the project. Now let's move on. So these are what the stages that we have discussed in waterfall model, correct? Requirement gatherings, designing, implementation, testing, development, and maintenance. Right? So we discussed about disadvantages, correct? So I don't want to go with them since we have already spoken about the disadvantages of waterfall. Now let's talk about agile model. What is agile? What does agile stands for? Can somebody let me know?
Where we can meet the requirements at any stage of the application.
Yes. So agile is nothing but flexibility, right?
Basically breaking.
You should ready to accept any change from the customer at any point of time, irrespective whether you are coming near to the deadline of delivering the project or whether at the start, middle of the project, whatever it is. So nowadays, we need to be agile. We need to be very flexible. Let's say you guys complete the course, you guys attend the interview, you guys have selected in the technical round. So in the manual round, the manager will discuss. Let's say Vishnu, okay, you got selected. So are you okay to work in different shifts? Why? Because we have a customer who is based out of US and he's running his applications in the production environment and we need 24 bar 7 monitoring. So okay, we are okay to take you into our company, but are you okay to do shifts, let's say morning shift, afternoon and night shift? Why? Because that is what the requirement is. So will you guys say yes or no? We have to get a
Obviously,
job,
I would say yes to get
right? We
into
have to
the.
say yes now. If you say no, if not you, there are multiple folks in the market who are ready to do shifts. I agree that doing night shifts will cause you health issues, but nowadays we don't have any other option rather accepting and getting into the job. Why? Because ultimately we need to get a job and salary, correct? So for that we need to be agile. So the same manager says, hey Kranti or hey Vishnu, you need to work in weekends as well. You need to work on holidays as well. Why? Because that's a critical project. So your working days would be from let's say uh, from Sunday to Thursday as well, right? Let's say you might get Friday and Saturday as a holiday, week off probably. So we need to be agile basically. We need to be very flexible to accept the requirements. So agile model is basically the latest model or methodology that has been come into the market, and it has been using since years only. But in DevOps, we'll be using agile in the combination of DevOps. So that is more powerful to deliver the project where we have a lot of collaboration and coordination happens. So in agile, what we will do once we get a very big requirement, we'll be splitting that into small chunks. So what is that small chunks? I'll be explaining you in real time now. And each and every developer has been assigned to the small chunk of requirement, and everybody would be working towards completing the task without any dependency. So we can go ahead and come up with small timelines to define whatever the task that you have to complete, and we'll be completing it in and we'll be moving on to the next cycle. So ultimately, by following agile model, we'll be going in cycles to make sure that we are delivering the project within the timelines with highest quality and the security. So what is that agile? The best example for agile methodology is all the e-commerce websites or all the social networking websites. So if I open Flipkart today or if I open WhatsApp today, it may be web application or mobile application of WhatsApp. Don't you think after a week or after 1 month I'll be getting an update from WhatsApp? Why I get a new update? Let's say Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Why I tend to get updates from them?
Because there's a change in the requirement from the customer, so they keep updating.
Yes, they come up with new features, security updates, patch maintenance, new versions. They will include new features. I believe the new feature that I'm looking into it, WhatsApp nowadays is what? Communications. Did you ever observe there is a new tab that has been come in WhatsApp called communications? Communities, sorry, not communications.
Communities. Correct.
Communities,
Correct.
correct. So this has been come, I believe, 1 week back. It was not been present earlier. Why? Why? Because WhatsApp or Facebook or Meta is always there to make sure that they are getting the requirements from the customers. They're always accepting the feedback from the customers and they're developing it to improvise the product. To improvise the product. To improvise the product. Right? So these are the examples for agile model. So I'll talk about agile model now. So I've already taken a snippet, correct? Let me take the snippet again. So how many developers that we are as part of the project is?
Right.
Six developers, correct? Let's assume we have only two developers. We have only two developers. So the planning, the design requirement gatherings will remain the same. So now the design is also done, development is happening. So developer one would be picking up top offers module and they would be developing Java code or .NET, whatever it is. Developer two would be picking up the groceries module. Let's assume developer one developed and picking up mobiles module, right? So you have tester, correct? The tester will be coming in. Testing engineer will be testing this since development is done. So D2, developer 2 completed finishing off developing groceries module. He will be picking up fashion. Meanwhile, you have tester 2 who would be pitching in here and testing it. Meanwhile, tester 1 completed his job and he'll be going to developer 1 here. Tester 1 is picking up this job to test it. Meanwhile, the release and deployment team will come and they will deploy this into the production. Meanwhile, tester 2 has finished its job. He will be going to T2, like this D2 has developer 2 has completed this and developer 2 is picking up this thing, then the release and deployment team release this and will be picking up this job, and your maintenance team would be monitoring. Maintenance and monitoring team will be monitoring top offers in the production. So what is happening here? Don't you think every team member, developer, tester, release and deployment team, maintenance and monitoring team is simultaneously and parallelly working it? So using DevOps methodology, this is how everybody will work parallelly and simultaneously. There is no dependency between each and everybody. So if you work in this pattern, may I know what is the timeline that we will be delivering the project? We don't wonder, we can even deliver the project in 40 days. Agree? But here what is happening? Until the development is done, the testing is not pitching in. Testing team. Until the testing is done, the deployment team is not pitching in. So the same project, if you use DevOps methodology, we can deliver in 40 days itself. How? Why? Because in DevOps, we'll use the modern tools that we have available. So what are those modern tools? We'll be looking into it. Let's go back to the presentations. So we understand the delay between IT team and the development team, right? So the gap is always there in traditional way of software development. That's the reason why we have DevOps that has been come into picture. What is DevOps? Dev, development team. Ops is operations team. So in a DevOps team, you always have everybody present in it. So if I open a sample project, so what is the sample project all about? So we have a client called Walmart, and we have a software development company called TCS. So they have given a project to us, and the project milestone or deadline is 60 days. So we are naming that project as DevOps project, and we have hired 20 people and 2 to 3 additional people as well as part of buffer. And this is how the team would be, the DevOps team. So you don't have developers and DevOps engineers only. You have one product owner. You have one project manager from development team and testing team. You have one project manager from DevOps team, one lead, technical lead from development team, one lead from cloud DevOps, 4 developers, 3 testers, 3 DevOps engineers, one release and deployment team, one maintenance and monitoring engineer, one individual from ITIL, one Scrum Master, 1 or 2 IT operations team from Azure administration. So this is how the team would be formed, guys. So here what happens in a DevOps project? Collaboration and coordination should happen every time between every team member here. So if they don't talk each other, they don't collaborate each other, it's not a DevOps project. That's where DevOps project is all about collaborating on daily basis, coordinating on daily basis, and work towards a common goal called delivering the product to the customer with highest quality and security within the timeline. So this is all about the DevOps. Now let's talk about the roles and responsibilities of the operations team in DevOps. So we know DevOps, Dev will be developers, they will be developing the code. But what ops team will do? Operations team will do. So they will help in installing the server hardware and operating system that is required to host the product. And they configure the servers, network, storage, everything that is required to have the product deployed into the production environment so that the flipkart.com will be available to public like us over the internet. So if I am a customer or a user, I'll open a browser. If I have internet connectivity, I'll type in flipkart.com and I'll open and I'll sign up and I'll browse through the products, I'll add to the cart and I'll proceed to the payment gateway and I'll make the payment and the product would be delivered within the stipulated duration time. Then they'll monitor the servers to see how the CPU, how the RAM is getting utilized, how the storage, how the internet is working. They'll respond to outages. If in case there is any outage of the server, obviously flipkart.com will never work. It will be going down. So they will respond to the outages to bring flipkart.com back. So they will talk about security as well. They'll maintain the security. Why? Because the product code should follow the quality and security. Why? Because if your code is having vulnerabilities, obviously you are basically welcoming the hackers to hack your environment. So we should not have to do that. So they will be taking care of the change control. They will also be part of maintaining the backup of the website and disaster recovery planning in case of the website going down. They'll also take care of production support. So these are all the roles and responsibilities of the IT operations in a DevOps project. So let's move on and understand what is Microsoft Azure. Why? Because we are gonna learn DevOps on the cloud computing platform called Microsoft Azure. So we will learn DevOps and we are not gonna deploy the product in a physical server, guys. We are gonna deploy our product, software, website, database in a virtual environment. So we basically don't touch anything physically. Everything that you do using an Azure portal or Azure DevOps portal. So what is Microsoft Azure? So Microsoft is a well-known product-based company throughout the globe. You might be knowing about it, correct? So they are into different products, operating systems, server operating systems, PowerShell. They are into Power BI. Let's say they are into Power Platforms. They are into gaming consoles, Xbox. They are into laptops, building laptops, mobile phones. They are into programming languages, building developer tools like Visual Studio, a lot of things. And they have been into the cloud services as well in the year of 2010, right? And we are proudly say that Microsoft is standing number one in the market in terms of providing the cloud services to the customers. When you compare with any other cloud service provider like AWS, Amazon Web Services, or Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba Cloud, HP Cloud, IBM Cloud, right? Why? Because Microsoft being a developer-friendly company, it has been done integration with multiple programming languages. So you can use any programming language, it will be integrated with Microsoft tools, right? So that's the biggest advantage. That's where Microsoft is a developer-friendly company, correct? So Microsoft has been into cloud services in the year of 2010, and it is number one now in the market. And why Microsoft has created Azure? Why? Because they have come up with Azure to build, to test, to deploy, and to manage the web applications or any kind of softwares using their Microsoft managed data centers. So we'll develop the product and we will be basically deploying into the virtual servers, not into the physical servers. So why? Because the technology has evolved and we'll be using virtual servers. So all the server maintenance, all the operating system updates would be taken care by Microsoft itself. There is no intervention from the company, nor from the developer, nor from the IT service engineer. Let's now talk about DevOps. So I was talking about DevOps is all about collaboration, right? So it's a methodology that is being used along with Agile in the market now, which will promote the collaboration between development and operations teams, right? So that they can work independently, parallelly to make sure that the development life cycle is shorter with highest quality and highest security. It will enable rapid product deployments so that we can deliver the project within the stipulated time without compromising on quality and security, guys. So it brings the people. Who are the people? These are all the people, correct, in the project. It will bring all these people together, processes that they're following together, best practices together, and they will use the modern tools to automate the software delivery. So ultimately to value add to the customer, and it will also speed up the software delivery as well. So ultimately we'll be making a reliable product that is available to the customer. So this is all about DevOps. Let's move on to life cycle. So we discussed about rice preparation life cycle, the step-by-step process. We just discussed about software development life cycle, the 6 to 7 stages. In Azure DevOps as well, we have a life cycle. So here, if you look at this life cycle, it is in an infinite loop. Agree? Yes, the life cycle is in an infinite loop. Agree?
Yes.
So why it is an infinite loop? Why? Because DevOps is a project which is gonna never end until customer says that guys we are done with the project, it is the time to ramp down. Until then we will be going with the project, guys. So what we do, we'll plan the things first once we get the project. So the developers will be developing the code. So you can ask me a question as to Kranti, being a DevOps engineer, Azure DevOps engineer, where my role would be coming in. So our role would be coming into integrating and building the pipelines. So we'll be using a tool called Azure Pipelines, and we'll be running the continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines. We call it as CI/CD. So then we'll be packaging the solution. Packaging is nothing but it's a .exe file, a .jar file, .var file, .msi file. We will be developing the code here, different files, and we'll be using the compiling tools to come up with a package or artifact. The artifact would be in the form of .exe file, the Google Chrome extension or the executable file that I've shown you, right? So here the packaging will happen. Then the testing team will be testing the package using the test plans service, and then we'll be releasing into the virtual environment. We might use here Dockers, Kubernetes, web apps, virtual machines, lot of things that we'll be using in the virtual environment for Microsoft Azure to deploy the product into the production environment. Once you deploy, your maintenance and monitoring team would be coming in, and they would be monitoring the servers. They would be taking feedback from the customers, and again, once the feedback is taken, they will be planning the things, they will be developing the things, they'll be integrating. That's where this cycle is a never-ending process. This will always go in a loop. So while working at each and every stage, we'll be using the modern tools. So Azure Boards is a tool that we'll be using for planning. Azure Repos will be using for developing the things. We'll be using Azure Pipelines. So this is a place where our role will be coming into picture more, being an Azure DevOps engineer. Then Azure Artifacts will be used for packaging the solution. Azure Test Plans is a tool or service for testing. And we'll use Docker, Kubernetes, virtual machines, or web applications to deploy the product in release phase. And we'll be using Azure monitoring and reporting tools to monitor the product. So these are all the tools that we would be going and using there. So let's get into the certification path. So people will always ask, Kranti, okay, I've taken a decision now to learn Azure DevOps course. So is it required for me to complete the course at the end of this? It is optional, yes. Whether you can go with certification or you cannot do, you will definitely get a job. So I'll go with an example. You tell me the real time, and then we can talk about it more. Let's say we have 20 people who joined this session now, correct? Let's say all of you guys have opted for this course, and once we are completing this course, 10 people have only taken up the course, and the other 10 people have taken up the course and did Azure DevOps certification as well. And let's say they are coming to me, and I'm a technical panel. Do you think I'll be selecting the individual who just completed the Azure DevOps course, or I'll be taking or selecting the other individual who might have completed the course and did the certification on Azure DevOps, which is AZ 400? Yes, you got my question. Let's say 20 people have completed the course, out of which 10 people have taken the certification as well, cleared the certification. And one individual who is attending the interview with me, being a technical panel, do you think I'll be selecting the individual who just completed the course or the individual who has taken up the certification as well?
Certification
The
as well.
certification.
It depends, but both of them should satisfy me from my technical abilities, correct? They have to show their technical abilities, they have to fulfill my job requirement. So for me, irrespective whether you complete the certification or not, you prove your technical ability in front of me, then I'll be able to take it up. Why? Because nowadays everybody is completing a certification uh, by giving money to somebody, or they're just completing the certification for the just sake of completing it. But my point of view was, once you complete this course, you would be able to clear the certification on your own. So if you clear on your own, what happens? You will be able to implement something in real time once you get a job. So if somebody is doing the certification on behalf of you, you don't get anything, guys. So what we are going to cover in the course is, I'll be going with the course content. So we'll be covering Azure fundamentals. Why? Because I don't start with DevOps concepts right away. Why? Because I have a habit of teaching everything from a layman perspective. So I'll start from the scratch. We'll talk about cloud computing concepts first. then Azure Fundamentals, then we'll be moving on to Azure Administrator Topics. So after completing this course, you can easily go with AZ 900 Azure Fundamentals, AZ 104, and then you can aim for AZ 400, which is Azure DevOps. But you cannot directly jump onto AZ 400. Why? Because AZ 104 Azure Admin or AZ 204 Azure Developer certification is mandatory to get into this. So either of the one you have to first complete it. But this AZ 900 is an optional one. So you either have to complete one of this, but you won't be able to complete 204. Why? Because we are not teaching you Azure Developer course here. So you can complete this, then you can aim for AZ 104 if in case somebody wanted to do the certification. It's up to you. But if you ask me, certification is not mandatory to get a job. It all depends on, okay, you learn the course, how you are answering things from the technical perspective matters you to get a job, guys. So let me go with the course content that we have. So guys, the course content has been designed in a way that what exactly the companies are asking, how is the market nowadays, is we have built the course in a similar way. So we have put more tools, right, compared to any other institute. Why? Because it's not just that we have to learn Azure DevOps tools. So we have put a lot of third-party tools as well, the modern tools that we will be using in DevOps. So we'll be starting with Azure DevOps introduction. We'll be talking about the IT architecture. Why? Because the freshers or the non-IT people might not be knowing about what is IT, what is the architecture of the IT lifecycle, things and stuff. So we'll be talking about them. We'll be talking about the domain naming system as well, the networking, the cloud overview. What is cloud? Cloud computing, the services, the models, right? Then we'll be starting with the Azure fundamentals. We'll talk about what are accounts, tenant, subscription, Azure portal, resource group, resources, how we can go and deploy, what are the best practices, a lot of things that we'll be discussing. Then we'll talk about Azure networking, right? So everything goes in hand to hand, guys. So you cannot just learn the virtual machines concept. Why? Because in order to access a virtual machine or a remote computer, you need to have internet open. You need to have certain ports from networking should open. So that's where we'll talk about Azure networking as well. And we'll talk about Linux. So if you don't know Linux, Linux commands, Linux operating system, nothing to worry. Why? Because I'm here to teach everything from the scratch. So without Linux, there is no DevOps, guys. So Linux is mandatory to learn DevOps as well. So we are here to teach you from the scratch. To teach you from the scratch. So what is Linux? What is file system? How you manage the package, services,
Linux
everything.
Linux is mandatory for the DevOps. Is it only Azure as well as AWS?
AWS. Yes, both.
It's for both.
Yeah. Yeah.
It, it, I
So
think
why I'll
what
tell
is
you.
preferred? Is it
Sorry.
coding
Yeah.
background is required?
No, Linux scripting, I can say. So that's where if you don't know about it, you should not have to worry. Why? Because I'm here to teach you from the scratch.
Okay,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I'm having non-tech background. Okay, so just
It's okay. It's okay. I'm here to teach everything from scratch. So I'll talk about that. Let's give a couple of more minutes to complete it.
okay.
Yeah. So we'll then move to compute, guys. So we'll talk about virtual machines, availability sets, zones, virtual machine scale sets, a lot of other things. And we'll be getting into some networking deep dive concepts like load balancer, DNS. We'll talk about Azure storage, right? How we can store your data in the cloud securely, safely. We'll talk about that. Then we'll move on to DevOps concepts like source code management. We'll talk about Git and GitHub here. Git is a version controlling tool which will be used by developers. GitHub is like a Google Drive where we'll be hosting our code, right? And we'll talk about the infrastructure as a code concepts here. We'll talk about Terraform, right? So we'll be using some code like HashiCorp configuration language to deploy some infrastructure using the code, right? So if you don't know what is that, nothing to worry about because I'm here to teach everything from the scratch. Then we'll go to Ansible. Ansible is a configuration management tool. So this tool will be doing a lot of automation, right? So this will save a lot of job of the DevOps engineer. So what is this? How you can install a lot of softwares in a single go in thousands of machines in a single go. We'll talk about it. Then we'll talk about Jenkins. So Jenkins is a CI/CD tool. So without Jenkins, there is no DevOps course case. So we will be using Jenkins from the DevOps background. So we'll be spending a lot of time on the continuous integration, continuous delivery concepts here. Then we'll go to the most happening things in the market, Dockers and Kubernetes, right? So you can make your career alone in Dockers and Kubernetes as well in the market. Why? Because there is a lot of boom in the market. So we'll talk about Dockers and Kubernetes, how we can deploy our products in both of those technologies. We'll talk about it. Then we'll talk about monitoring. So we'll talk about Azure Monitor and Negios, which is a third-party tool. So once you deploy the product into the production environment, how you monitor the CPU, RAM, the infrastructure, server monitoring, hardware monitoring, Windows updates, how you do a lot of things that we'll be doing. Then we'll be getting into Azure DevOps services. So these are the most important topics being a Azure DevOps engineer. So we'll talk about what are boards, repos, pipelines, test plans, artifacts. So a lot of things that are covered from the content perspective. So whatever the companies that are asking, we have put it in the course curriculum, and we will be able to deliver them, right? So coming back to the PPT, so now I'm open to the questions, but before that I wanted to announce something that we are gonna start our new batch of Azure DevOps from this Tuesday, which is 22nd of November, and the timings would be from morning 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. IST, and we generally go with Monday to Friday, and Saturdays is optional. At times we even take Saturdays as well. So generally on Saturdays we'll talk more from the project's perspective and how things happens from the real time, right? So basically from Monday to Friday we'll be going and taking it up. Saturdays are optional, and starting the batch from this 22nd of Tuesday from morning 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Indian time, and the course duration would last for 2 months, guys. So 2 months is the course duration. Now I'm open to any questions that you guys might be having. I believe with this demo, you might have understood what is the software development life cycle, how a software would be developed and released into the market, and what are the advantages that we have with Azure DevOps comparatively with the traditional way of software development. I believe I've gone with most of the daily scenarios to help you guys correlate with the rice preparation process and with the software development. You might have got something. I believe that at the end of the day, there are some takeaways for you. In the same way, our classes are gonna be. So I'll be mostly dealing with the day-to-day scenarios only, so that you'll be able to correlate with the technical terminologies, right? So this is how our training is gonna be. Now I'm open to any questions that you guys have.
Like, do we get any project in the end of the course?
So it's daily basis. We are gonna discuss about the project only. So I believe I've opened a notepad, right? So this is how we discuss about a project. So on daily basis, we'll be playing a product owner role, we'll be playing a project manager role, we'll be playing a technical lead role, scrum master, or DevOps engineer, tester, developer. So every day we'll be playing a role while we are learning each and every tool, correct? Why? Because if you just talk about DevOps, we'll just have to talk about DevOps tools only. But this course is a package. So we'll be talking about each and every role that I have put it across here. So this is a project, and we'll be gonna go with sprints, timelines, whatever that we are gonna deliver, who will be developing them. So everything will be going and talking about this. So I don't wanted to use that at the end of the project. At the end of this course, I'll be giving you a project, but it's on daily basis. It's like a project only that we are working.
Okay, thank you.
Will you provide us certification related stuff also?
Sai, your voice is too low.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Uh, is it audible now?
Yes, it's better. Tell me.
Will you provide the certification related stuff also? Course material, I mean.
Yes, I'll be sending the documentation every day once we are done with the class.
Sir, I have one doubt.
I mean, not
Yes, go
this
ahead.
class related. I'm asking you certification related. I mean, you mean to say, I mean, if we have attended this class, this is enough to
Mhm.
take this certification also?
Yes, this is enough to clear the certification as well. So if you need, probably I'll be able
So
to give you the dumps as well. But I suggest you to go ahead and clear the certification on your own. Why? Because if you use certain dumps or previous questions, I don't think that you'll be implementing something in real time.
Okay, okay, fine. But I mean,
Yeah,
we should know the exam pattern. So which module has the I mean weightage?
I'll
So
go with that. Probably. I'll go with that. That's not a
take
problem.
it fine. Right.
Madhu
Yeah,
decided.
somebody has.
So yes, Madhu decided. Yeah,
Yeah, Madhu.
difference, the potential difference between the agile and this DevOps is
So DevOps is
this infrastructure is completely maintained by the third party.
not the third
Uh,
party. It's
that
Microsoft.
I Microsoft whatever. Okay, third part. I mean, of course,
I think Madhu got disconnected.
either in-house or in the cloud platform.
Madhu,
Hello.
you got disconnected. It seems I was not able to hear your voice. I believe the same thing with everybody else as well. Can
Yeah.
you repeat your question again?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Even I self disconnected in between sometime. I mean, can you make out two statements between the DevOps and then earlier agile methodology? I mean, potential differences.
See, agile methodology is being used by the developers to make sure that they got a requirement, a big requirement, and they would be spreading into chunks, right? And each and every task is being assigned to single developer. So here in agile, what happens is one task would not be developed by multiple developers, which means we save a lot of time. So we have different cycles. Let's say if you have 60 days of timeline to deliver the project, so it's like for each and every task we might be assigning some hours. So in a given day you have 8 hours of production time, correct? So let's say if you are a developer, I would assign a
Yeah.
task and I would say that, okay, 2 hours I'm giving you go and develop and give the code to the testing team so that they will be testing it and they will be basically completing that particular task, right? So agile basically it's following best practices to make sure that we are in alignment and we are using the resources in absolutely perfect way to make sure that we don't have any impact till the testing phase. What is DevOps? DevOps is all about whatever the software, hardware that is required for the development team to develop, to test, or to deliver it. The operations team would be basically helping them to giving it right away. So since we are going to learn this DevOps on the cloud platform, so if you have to deliver or give a software, it is within fraction of seconds and minutes we can basically give it to the developer. So we are saving a lot of time here without having any impact to the milestone of the project. So we do a lot of practices. We'll use a lot of modern tools that we have just gone with, right? So, but ultimately, what is needed? Collaboration and coordination that plays a prominent role to deliver the software with highest quality.
So operations team plays the critical role in the DevOps. So what is mean by I mean the ops team is providing the software to the development team. So development team chooses based on the customer requirement are dependent on what technology they've been used. So
Yes, sir. So
what
if customer is technical, they will suggest us. If customer is a dummy customer, they don't know anything about infrastructure. It's we have to suggest them.
Mhm.
Do you think, I mean, not
Okay.
every time the
So
customer
ops
would be
team.
technical, correct?
So with the context, so operations should team should have the big, I mean, wider knowledge in the software. We are in a position to advise to the customer which software to be used and platform infrastructure, everything. So the crucial role by the operations team means we have the more knowledge, right? Even across the
Yes,
platform, right from the software selection to the platform, everything, operation system, everything.
yes. So even that we'll be covering as part of the course. So we'll be teaching you the infrastructure side of it as well.
Okay. So do we need any development skills? Actually, I have a testing background. That's why I'm asking. So,
Not
though I
required.
am
Not
in
required.
more than 10 years in industry, I'm in the testing background. So I hardly have a development. skills, even what extent the coding skill required for as a operations
So we are DevOps engineers, we are
in
not
DevOps.
developers. We are DevOps engineers, we are
Okay,
not developers, so we should not have to know the coding.
okay.
Okay, that actually I was just about to ask that question, but that has clarified it. So we this course basically covers what we are going to do. I mean, like we are just the DevOps engineers, but we are not the developers, right?
Yes, yes. But
Okay, because I
we would be coordinating with the developers and testers and multiple other teams that I've showed you as part of the
yep,
project, right? So that
yes.
coordination should happen.
Okay, okay. No, because I am from I mean like I am from an operations background. I'm a supply chain analyst. I work with
Mhm,
product owners, product managers on my day to day and day in day out. But
mhm.
the only worry for me was if we really have to be like on dot with the coding, then I think it would be a pretty I mean like a difficult
No,
task to me. So hence why I just wanted to ask that before I go and join the course.
no. One thing I wanted to tell here is people have a lot of confusions, right? By looking at DevOps. So people will always have a mindset that development is it required for a DevOps engineer, but no. So what I recommend is I already told you there is no prerequisite that is needed. I'll be taking care of everything from the scratch. Just that though you are from a different background, you are from non-technical or a fresher or an experience from different background, you just come with a blank mind, a positive mindset, come up with determination, dedication, and you come up with that okay, I'll do hard work and I'll put efforts, then you can achieve anything, right?
Yes,
So
I
if you
believe in.
always come with that mindset that okay, this is a course my friend has suggested or somebody has suggested that it has a lot of boom in the market, a lot of openings that we have. Okay, I'll join. They don't bother whether they'll be able to take it up or not. They will always come up with that mindset that a question will be always there that okay, I'm not from IT, I will learn or not. So that is how the mindset they will come up. So if that is the case, they won't learn anything, guys. So what I believe in is this is not rocket science. What I believe in is building rockets is only rocket science, and even they are humans. Even they started. They're not born scientists, correct? So it's all how to what extent you will be able to take, what are the efforts that you will be able to come up with matters. So if you have 1 hour class on daily basis, at least to reach certain level, you have to practice at least 3 to 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello. Hi, Kranti. I'm Shravya here.
Hey, Shravya.
Yeah, so I'm working as a business analyst in a company. So right now I
Mhm.
want to change to Azure. I'm exactly looking for AZ900 and Azure admin side. So is this
Mhm.
the core right away that is for development? Is this course related to development totally, or even it covers admin and part that all whatever you said in the certification?
So again, I want to tell the same thing. This is Azure DevOps engineer role, not a developer role, right? So being an Azure DevOps engineer, we also should know from Azure administration perspective. Without knowing infrastructure, we cannot learn DevOps, right? So DevOps, the Azure administration is an added advantage and value add for you if you go and take up this course. So Samya, since you're a business analyst, are you from the functional or technical perspective?
Even I'm the technical and the functional.
Okay. So, I mean, what are your aspirations? What exactly you wanted to get into it so that I'll suggest something.
Okay, actually, in my company, there is a requirements for Azure DevOps. First of all, they have set me to learn about Azure AZ900 so that they'll take into that role. So, what should I exactly learn about?
Okay, got it, got it. So this course covers the basics, Azure admin and DevOps as well.
So, yeah, whenever I have asked for career IT, they said that they'll start the class from Wednesday. So, what is that course and this course? That is what my confusion is. Which class should I exactly join?
I I'm not. I believe our coordinator would be able to answer, but I'm not sure on Wednesday. But Thursday morning we are gonna start this, and this covers. If you're looking from Azure perspective, yes, the course includes the fundamentals, the administration concepts, and the DevOps as well.
Okay, so this is not exactly developer course. It's related to.
No, this is not
Oh,
developer. This is not developer at all. Even I believe your
okay.
requirement is not learning the developer course. You're worried
Yes.
about technical stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I want to learn about admin things first of all.
Yeah. So this is the right course then.
Okay. And also I want to do certification in the particular Azure, whatever you said. So
You can do that once we complete the course. You can. I'll be basically helping you with. I mean, anyways, on daily basis, I'll covering the theory questions and the practical questions as well. So at the end of this course, you should be able to clear it up, and I'll be sending some documentation as well, so that you can go and refer them.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, hi Kranti, Sriram here.
Hey, Sriram.
So actually, the thing is like one of my friend has attended the DevOps interviews, and he told me that in the interview session, most of the people are asking like how we need to handle the real like instances. Like they are giving some examples and they are asking how we can handle this type of scenarios. So what I'm expecting is after completion of this say like this course, can I able to tackle that type of questions where
Yes, so the course is purely from the project standpoint at the real time, right? So we're not here to just teach the theory here. Why? Because I have huge experience. So every topic that we go with, I believe the introduction, if you have gone through, I'll take a topic from the theory, then I'll connect with a day-to-day example, then I'll bring up a customer situation, and we'll be going with that approach. At the same time, I'll cover the interview questions, the interview tips and tricks, everything.
okay, so just I want to ask one thing. It will be practical, Kranti, so that we,
Yes,
if we
practical.
do if we go with the hands-on, we will get more knowledge when compared to theory.
Yes, it's all practical based. So whatever that we do, we give assignments. So you have to go and do that as well. So at the end of this course, right? So you can easily put close to 3 to 4 years of experience. You can put it across and you project that you worked on Azure DevOps. So to that extent, we'll be going and teaching you.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, hi, this is Monica. The same, like Sriram has mentioned, the real-time scenarios is what we are expecting. So, from the end of the course, like we'll have to be able to um, go through the real-time scenarios. We'll have to face all the real-time scenarios during the interviews or while working, right? So, that's our expectation, Kranti.
Yes, that will be covered anyways. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Kranti, so just I want to ask another thing. Like, as per my information, like most of the companies are seeking a guy like who knows Azure DevOps and also Azure administration. So in this course,
Mhm.
we will also learn Azure administration, right?
Yes, that's what I already told you.
Okay.
Why? Because without having command on infrastructure, you cannot do anything with DevOps. Why? Because DevOps is all about developing the code, testing it, and where do you deploy the code into the virtual environment, Azure, right? So you should know knowledge on Azure as well, Azure admin.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So most of the institutes might not teach you administration; they just go with the CI/CD pipelines mostly. But this course included that as well. Why? Because I mean, being a project manager, even I do a lot of market analysis. I already told you the course curriculum has been built in a way to include all the market scenarios, tools, whatever that we have.
You're like after completion of the everyday class, will you give any task so that we will get some experience on
Yeah, I
that?
will give certain task and documentation as well. I'll be forwarding it to you guys.
Okay, after completion of this course, will you assure that like creation of a resumes so that it will be helpful
Yeah,
for us?
yes, that will also be taken care.
Yeah, okay.
Any last questions that I can go ahead and take it up? Yes, I think this is the right time, right? So you might have joined the demo session with a lot of expectations, and you might have a lot of confusions, right? So let's go ahead and clarify it.
Yeah, Kranti, just I want to ask another thing. Uh, actually, I'm working as a software engineer within Valley Momentum. So
Hmm.
currently, I have 2 years experience. Like I have a master plan, but due to some personal issues, I have dropped out. So actually, I'm serving the notice period. So
Hmm.
it will be ends up in November ending. So right now I am, if I enroll this course, it will be takes up around 2 to 3 months, right, after completion, and after even I need get some experience. So
Hmm.
there will be 3 months lag, right? So it will it will be a barrier to me, or how it will be, like if
I mean, you
when I
wanted to take a gap, you mean to say,
yes, yes.
or you have put on the papers? So can I assume that you have an offer in?
No, present I don't have, just I have a master plan, but recently I have it dropped out.
You can take, I mean, take the gap. That's not a problem. You can tell a story, any medical reasons, or you have some family issues, whatever it is. That's
Like it
how
won't
people will actually. No, it won't
it won't
impact.
be a concern for me, right?
No, no, no. It won't impact.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Excuse me.
Kranti, thanks, man. It was nice attending the demo session. Hopefully, I'll connect with you on Tuesday. Thanks a lot, man. Have a nice.
Welcome, Vishnu. Appreciate it. Any last question that I can go ahead and take it up? Yeah, so from this Tuesday, 22nd of November, from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., we are going to start the new batch, guys. So if in case you wanted to enroll, our coordinator has already pinged the mobile numbers to get in touch and to go ahead and enroll. Yeah, thanks, guys. I hope you guys have liked the session, and enjoy your day. Take care.
Yeah, yeah, Kranti.
Yeah, Ramesh.
Yeah, what is the timelines of class? Actually, it's a morning session.
Yeah,
Or
morning 6 a.m. To 7 a.m. Indian time.
okay, okay. Actually, I am belongs to .NET developer. Now
Hmm.
I want to learn Azure DevOps, so
Hmm.
it would be play vital role. I think I don't know, but one of my friends suggested. So how it drastic changes, like not changes, but how it will be help. Actually, it's a coding. No need to require after that. Once we learn and we will get a job in the in soon.
No, DevOps engineers never code any programming language,
Okay, just
right?
just for what we have developed right now, that integrated to deliver to the particular client. So that role will
So
play in
developers,
future.
DevOps is all about a combination of multiple teams: development, testing, Scrum Master, product owner, project
Okay.
manager from dev team, project manager from cloud. You have Azure admin team. You have maintenance monitoring. You have ITIL team. Lot of teams, guys. It's all about collaboration and coordination. So developers develop the
Hmm.
code, right? So tester test it. So DevOps
Ah,
engineer will make sure that the build pipelines are being built and run. Then the release pipelines are built and run. Where the project will be delivered, the software where will be hosting, or the website or the database. Obviously on the infrastructure, right? So earlier we used to use the physical
ah.
infrastructure. Now we'll use remote infrastructure on Microsoft Azure Cloud.
It is also comes under VM only.
It's not just VM, it's all about app service, web apps, SQL Server database, Docker, Kubernetes. A lot of new technologies also part of the course. So, I
Okay,
mean, compared to the traditional of software development, this is a bit different.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank you.
guys. Have a great day. Yeah. Thank you, Ramesh. Have a great day. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you.